Welcome back to War Throwing News. This week is the very obvious 1.99 or Starfighter patch has dropped finally. Now officially the patch actually doesn't have a number to it, but there still is a number on the launcher that is 1.99, so is, I guess, still factually correct. Makes me really interested in what the next patch is going to be. But numbers aren't very important for what's actually coming in this patch. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, because there's some pretty interesting tanks here. Tanks and planes, mainly Starfighters and that weird Russian thingy. You see, I asked Gaijin for a few of these vehicles so I could test them out, and they delightfully handed them over. So let's start talking about those, and then we'll get into the more of the nitty-gritty of the patch notes, which aren't too different than the Dev Server patch notes, but there are some variations. So starting off, what you're probably all interested in is the namesake of the patch is the F-104 Starfighters. How are they? Well, they kind of are what I said they were, really fast and can't turn. I don't exactly know their top speed, and you're probably never going to actually reach there in combat, so it doesn't entirely matter, but you will easily run out many missiles. It's quite hilarious seeing someone throw 4 of their AIM-9Es at you and they do nothing but run out of gas. However, when you're in that position, you can't do a whole lot because you can't turn a lot, so dogfighting's out of the picture. You do have a lot of bullets, but once again, you can't really dogfight most of the other jets that you're going to be running into. And trying to get them with missiles isn't easy because you only have AIM-9Bs. Oh, at least most of them do. The Japanese one, the J, has AIM-9Es, but only 2 of them. The German one can carry 4 missiles total, but only AIM-9Bs and a bizarre modification of AIM-9Bs, the AIM-9B FGW2, which various random Reddit comments state that it has much better tracking than the regular B. However, currently in the files, they are coded to be the same, so well done, Gaijin. The best of all the F-104s, because they all seem to perform the same, is the Chinese G, as it is able to carry 4 AIM-9Js. Unfortunately, I asked for the German G, so I am missing out on the best. However, I don't think having 4 good missiles is better than having 4 not as good missiles, as I could see the same issues coming forth. It's actually quite easy to defeat one of these aircraft, as there's not a whole lot in one that you can do. Essentially, your strategy is to go fast and not stop going fast, because you can't out-turn anything. So essentially, all you have to do is make one of these go slow, and you can pretty easily kill it with a missile. Overall, I'm quite glad they're in-game, because they're cool-looking jets, and I have no minds at all that every nation has one of them, it seems. Copy-paste or not, historically nations did use these, and they were everywhere, so they should be everywhere. And besides, top tier is mixed battles anyway, so it doesn't matter what is copy-paste and isn't. Other new vehicle that a lot of people have been interested when it was first announced, the Chrysanthema ATGM carrier that has the ability to radar lock onto enemy tanks. While on paper it sounds very OP, especially when you counter in that it has 1200mm penetrating ATGMs and isn't even at 10.0, only reaching 9.7. However, there's quite a few factors about this vehicle that hold it back from being that 10.0 or being the OP tank that everyone thought it was going to be when they read the dev blog about it. The radar lock, as I said in my prior videos, has some major drawbacks, mainly one being that it can't lock onto things behind surfaces, but this includes structures like buildings and destroyed tanks, which battlefields happen to be full of. I have so far only found the radar to be useful in 2 scenarios. One, at extremely long ranges, it helps you spot tanks, because I swear this game makes me feel like I'm blind. But however, unfortunately for this tank, there are more close-range engagement maps than long-range engagement ones, and a lot of the long-range engagement ones people have blocked as they don't like the sniping gameplay. The other one is being able to lock onto tanks through smoke, either theirs or yours. In fact, there's a fun little strategy you can do. You don't have any smoke grenades, however you do have the engine smoke, so you throw some of that up. You drive back a little bit, now you got a nice smoke screen in front of you, and you can fire ATGMs at the enemies, yet they don't know where you are. Unfortunately with this, it takes a little bit of pre-planning, and you can't entirely predict what the enemy's gonna do, because people who play War Thunder are a bit crazy. So the radar lock, while a nice gimmick, isn't gonna save the day a whole lot. What really is going to save the day most of the time is your ATGMs, which penetrate 1200mm. You also have HE ATGMs, which can penetrate, I think it was on 60, and they're essentially HE shells, but in an ATGM. Kind of funny, can be effective and interesting. Maybe we'll get a Ruski 9000 video of him using it for 20 minutes. But essentially, it is a very good ATGM carrier. However, it has some statistical disadvantages. For one, it only has 5 degrees of depression, which normally for Russian tanks isn't too big of a deal, because they're all not depressed. But for this one, the ATGMs are like a good foot above the vehicle, so they're all sticking up, but you can't aim them down. So if the tank is too close, you're kind of screwed. And for those hoping to hide behind a hill or some cover, can be done, and it's pretty effective. However, there's some limitations, as the aiming of the ATGMs is not done from the ATGMs themselves, but a little box in front of them that is on the chassis of your tank. So all that elevation provided by the pole that they're on does not bring much of a tactical advantage besides getting spotted easily and having your ATGM shot. So overall, as an ATGM tank, it's rather good, as you have a lot of penetration, you're quite fast, you're lightly armored, which is a bad thing, but the light armor allows you to float in the river, which I value over almost any other stat. The ATGM reload is a little long, however you do get 2 shots, and overall you have some gimmicky mechanics that you can use to your advantage in certain circumstances. If you're looking forward to a new Russian ATGM tank that go along with your T-72s, this would be a great addition to your lineup, in my personal opinion. It's not the super OP menace that everyone was fearing. Another tank added that it seems a lot of people were actually interested in was the T-69-2G. From the stats wise, it doesn't sound that great to be an 8.7 premium. However, I found it to be actually pretty good. The ammunition of its 105mm cannon can deal with the enemies. Well, of course it can. It's near top tier, and everything starts to be able to penetrate everything anyways. And armor wise, it doesn't stand up to a lot of the things that it runs into. However, it's not completely unarmored. Well, the base armor on the tank is that of, I think, a T-54. The added on explosive reactive armor is much more effective than I had thought. While it does nothing to APFSDS, it is able to stop a lot of ATGMs like tow missiles and the like. I've at times been able to hold up an enemy assault with this vehicle quite easily thanks to the explosive reactive armor. What made me unfortunately lose to that assault to me is the long reload. The base reload is 9.7 seconds, and the best you can get it is 7.5 seconds. While most other 105mm cannons have a base reload of 8.7 seconds and a max reload speed of 6.7 seconds, which puts you in an unfortunate disadvantage about 1 second. Personally, I see this as the tank's major flaw, as everything else of the tank is just your standard typical 8.7 tank. It has alright speed, it's not a leopard, but it will get you around. Turret traverse isn't anything to gawk at, but it will do. And besides the ERA, the armor is kind of your typical Soviet tank layout. Altogether, if you are feeling to grind the Chinese tree, yet you don't want to grind through all the copy paste, and when it gets to something Chinese, well, this was an export variant, but still Chinese, this would be the ideal vehicle to go for. China even has some other 8.7s if you wish to make a nice lineup. Another downside of the vehicle though is it does not have any thermals, only regular night vision, which really puts behind a lot of the other rank 6 premiums out there. But altogether, I'd say that I don't regret my purchase, mainly because I didn't purchase anything. I actually asked Gaijin for it and they gave it to me for free. So yes, I don't regret getting free things. More free things, please. Final vehicle I'd like to talk about would be the UH-1B, the Japanese Huey, at 8.0 in the beginning of their helicopter tree. Being 8.0, it is armed only with 38 FFAR Mighty Mouse rockets and 2 rocket pods. It has no other forms of armaments, no guns or bombs or anything like that, just these rocket pods, so you don't have to worry about grinding up to the better weapon. Other than that, it's just a UH-1B. You probably have one if you've grinded the US or German heli tree. And I feel it is the best addition this patch, as dumb helicopters are the best helicopters, and actually add to the game overall. Not some stupid kill you with ATGMs from 10 kilometers away by pointing at you on a little screen type gameplay. You gotta get in there and keep in mind where the anti-air are and what tanks have roof-mounted machine guns. And the best of all, you actually have to aim your rockets. They don't aim themselves. So now, me being a disgusting weeaboo, have a weeaboo helicopter that happens to be the best style of helicopter gameplay. The only complaint that I can think of is it is 8.0 and does not have nearly as much possible armaments as the US 8.0 helicopter. I feel because of lack of armors, perhaps you could argue a 7.7 battle rating, and there'd be some nice 7.7 Japanese lineups. Well, you would have one tank, but it's less awkward to bring a Hori to 7.7 than the 8.3. Other additions to the game, honestly, I read through the patch notes, and there's not a whole lot changed that I didn't talk about in the dev patch notes. A few things, like that Abrams is not going to 9.7. PlayStation accounts got screwed, and now if you want to spend Golden Eagles, you have to do so on your PlayStation. I'll link a video in the corner that explains that in a bit better detail. I don't have a PlayStation based on a linked account, so I don't entirely understand it from a first-hand experience. Another interesting thing they did is add the ability to radar lock onto bombs, and I think rockets, though that'd be kind of hard to hit one of those. There's a bit more nitty-gritty details that would be really boring to make a video about, like the spawn costs of various vehicles have been changed slightly. If you would like to hear that stuff, I could make a separate video talking entirely about the patch notes. I don't really want to do it. I did it last patch and it was not a very fun video to make. So before I end this video, first I'd like to thank my Patreons and YouTube members, starting with the Patreons. At the time that this recording started, there was actually 3 of them: Thundybot, Red Fox, and returning Sukoblet Idinahui. For YouTube members, we have Nico Korkomaki, The Royal Rat, Peter Klaglinski, I Like Them Thick, Mehmet Hazarji, Amorax, Julep Lopsky, Tex, One Max, Roger Rammer, Grimace, Mighty Peppers, Pointless Gunsinks, and Waffly Joker 6. A big thank you to all those YouTube members and Patreons who get videos uploaded a little bit early, a unique Discord role, as well as YouTube members get emojis during streams. So if you would be interested in either of those, there should be a link down below for the Patreon, or you can hit the join button for a YouTube member. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, don't hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. I make Warthund weekly news videos every Sunday. I make rain reviews throughout the week, and I like to stream on Saturdays. And this Saturday, I have a different game in mind for streaming. Remember, it's the 6th of June. So be sure to hit the bell icon and be notified anytime I upload anything. And thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. In the terms of bonus news, Panzer, Jagdpanzer, Panther, Jagdpanther, Tiger, Jagdtiger, Churchill, Jagd Churchill.